Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's HIGHMMA, and today we are here to discuss the UFC fighters I would choose if I had to make a motherfucking Pokemon team of UFC fighters. Crazy random video, but it's just a random one I thought up this morning and I decided to make it. So basically, the way that I'm going to be doing this video is I'm going to be picking a fighter for each major martial art seen in the UFC. However, there is a catch. I can't just pick all the best fighters. I can't just pick all the champs. So I'm allowed 2 fighters between champion and ranked number 5 out of, like, say, flyweight and above, because I'm not going to do women's MMA. And then I can choose 2 between ranked 5th and ranked 15th, and then I have to pick 2 unranked fighters. So it's going to be pretty interesting. We're going to be left with a pretty random group of fighters by the end, I'm hoping. So first of all, let's get through the main 6 martial arts so we can actually cut down the criteria of who we're looking for. The main 6 martial arts seen in the UFC consist of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, Wrestling, Kickboxing, Boxing, and Muay Thai. All very, very good martial arts. So what I'm going to do is pick a fighter for each martial art, regardless of where they're ranked or anything like that. We just want to get at least 1 for each base, so the team overall is very strong. And we also can't pick more than 1 fighter from each weight class. So it makes it just that little bit more difficult. So I really have to be careful about who I'm choosing, because once I pick someone from a division, I can't use that division again. Anyway, now that the intro's out of the way, let's start actually making some choices. The first thing I'm gonna do is pick out what I think is the 2 main martial arts we need someone strong for and very highly skilled in them. And I have come down to the conclusion that I want a very, very strong kickboxer and a very, very strong wrestler. So my pick for kickboxing is going to be Sugar Sean O'Malley. I think it was an easy choice for me. He is my favorite fighter that has a kickboxing style, even though he can do pretty much everything. Not necessarily at an elite level, but, you know, he's got a good ground game. I think he's got very well rounded, and I think he's definitely champion material. Obviously, we see that, and I think he's going to HIGHMMA, so I think he's definitely earned his spot in my motherfucking Pokemon team, motherfucker. Okay, we got Sugar Sean O'Malley, first pick, feeling very confident on it. And now I have to make my pick for a wrestler. Now, obviously, the bantamweight division is off limits, so I can't be grabbing up no goddamn Umar Nurmagomedovs and no Merab Dvalishvilis. So I'm going to move up the weight classes a little bit, and I am going to choose Belal Muhammad. I know it's just like such a random choice, but I thought I need a high-level wrestler, and I need someone that isn't just the generic kind of wrestler person everyone likes. So I didn't want to go for Islam, you know what I'm saying? I didn't just want to go for them, but one of those boring kind of wrestlers. I wanted someone that is kind of funny. Belal is that guy. And, you know, we saw how fucking good his wrestling is against someone like Leon Edwards. I mean, Leon Edwards has elite takedown defense. He's defended takedowns from the best, but he wasn't defending shit from Belal, bro. Belal ragdolled him. So for that reason, Belal is getting a spot in my team. He goes in there with Sugar Sean O'Malley. Next up, we need to decide the next 2 martial arts we're picking for fighters ranked between 5th and 15th. So the first one that I'm going to choose a fighter for is boxing, and the fighter I've chosen is Max Holloway, but the lightweight version of Max Holloway, because he actually sits ranked 9th in the lightweight rankings, holding that BMF title. And that's good enough for me, man. So he's fucking making it into the squad. We got Max Holloway being the main representative for boxing in the lineup. I think we've seen way too many examples of how good his boxing is. And look at the fucking KO he just had over Justin Gaethje. Pieced him up for fucking 5 rounds, then finished him off at the end. It was cold, and you know it was. He's the fucking leader for boxing in the squad. Don't care, don't give a fuck. The next martial art we are choosing a fighter for is Muay Thai, and the fighter I've picked for Muay Thai is Khalil Roundtree. I thought with his fight coming up with Alex Pereira, I thought it was the best time to have him featured in a video, and I think he is one of the best representatives for Muay Thai in the entire organization, let alone the light heavyweight division. I really like his style, and the fact that he's learned it in Thailand, just authentic motherfucking Muay Thai, beating the shit out of people. It's fucking sick, and it's fucking sick enough to get into my team. So now we have Khalil Roundtree joining the squad. We don't have much more to go through. We just have to make a choice for BJJ and Judo. Now, my choice for BJJ has been pretty hard to make, seeing as, like, you know, there's not really many divisions left that I can pick from. I'm gonna choose the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu of Paul Craig. Now, he is actually unranked now, so I can use him. And, you know, he's submitted Ankalaev, Jamal Hill. He's a beast, you know, on the ground, but just nowhere else. But we don't have to worry about anything else because we're choosing him just for his BJJ. So, and I think his BJJ is elite level. So I definitely want Paul Bearju Craig in my fucking team, man. Now, for my final fighter, the fighter that I'm choosing for Judo, I'm breaking the rules a little bit. I'm using what I might call a secret fighter. Someone that you might have to use a motherfucking master ball to catch because they're so fucking hard to deal with. An absolute muscly unit in the women's bantamweight division. It is Kayla motherfucking Harrison. Her judo is super fucking high level, and tell me she wouldn't ragdoll half of the fucking flyweights. She fucking would do, bro. I don't give a fuck. I love Kayla Harrison, man. I think she's fucking sick. And she is on a sick title run right now. I'm completely backing her all the way. So I want Kayla Harrison in my fucking team. She's probably going to KO some random fucking heavyweight and surprise everybody. You know, she's just got that dog in her. You can just tell. She absolutely ragdolled Holly Holm, which, you know, obviously Holly Holm is an old woman, so it's not really to be surprised. But it was still fun to watch, and it was on UFC 300, so why the fuck not? Kayla Harrison makes her way into the squad. And now, boys, we have the completed team. Let's just go back through, summarize, and talk about what I like and what I don't like about how my team has turned out. What I want to do in the second part of this video is take each chosen fighter and just highlight the best example of them using their martial art. So, for example, for Max Holloway being our team's chosen boxer, I'm going to choose his fight with Calvin Kattar. He set the significant strikes in one match record. It was sick. He quite literally told us during that fight, I'm the best boxer in the UFC. It was fucking sick. And it really did show how good of a boxer he is. I definitely think he's a top 5 boxer in the UFC. As of right now, I don't think we can really debate it. I don't think there's really any other fights that show his boxing in a better light. You know, in a lot of his other fights, he's using different tools in his fucking kit. But I think in that Calvin Kattar fight, his boxing was his main strength. And that's why I've chosen his boxing. And that Calvin Kattar fight is definitely the best example of it. Moving on, I'm going to talk about Sean O'Malley's best example of his kickboxing skill. And I'm going to say the Marlon Vera fight. Now, the reason I choose the Marlon Vera fight, it was a nice, big, long 5 rounds where we got to see him use all of his tools, all of his different weapons, the knees, you know, his slick boxing, the head kicks. You know, he hit Marlon Vera with that knee during the fight that looked like it fucking cracked his skull. We saw the speed, we saw his ability to switch stances. It was just an absolute masterclass. And I don't really think that there's been enough Sean O'Malley fights in his career yet where we've been able to see him in a flow state like that, just absolutely teeing off on someone. Other than, what was that, the Chris Matinho fight? I don't remember what the guy was called who had the neon green hair that he fought on the Nate Diaz card. But I remember that fight. That was the other example I was going to use. But I think the Marlon Vera one is at a higher level, and it was a longer fight, and he had more tools in his tool bag. So that is the reason why I'm choosing Marlon Vera versus Sean O'Malley for Sean O'Malley's best example of his kickboxing. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the best example of Bilal's wrestling. Now, I don't know if this is just recency bias, but I was really, really impressed by his wrestling in the Leon Edwards fight. As I mentioned before, Leon Edwards is someone with elite takedown defense. You know, he's had to put up with Usman, Covington, you know, and more in the past. And Bilal just absolutely just shut all that shit down. He even dominated him on the feet, to be honest. Like, I rewatched it recently, and I was really back in Leon going into that fight, so I kind of had rose-tinted glasses watching it. But now I've watched it with just a clear, open mind. I realize how dominant Bilal really was in that fight. That is why I chose his wrestling, and I think his just, you know, that fucking head pin that he did on him, like, Jesus fucking Christ, man, that was actually painful to watch. And, you know, I don't really think that there's been a high level enough of opponent for Bilal Muhammad yet to say that, oh, this was the best example compared to the other fighters on the team. So I'm going to choose Bilal's fight with Leon for the example of his wrestling. Now, moving on, we're going to be talking about Khalil Rountree's Muay Thai ability. Now, I think I'm going to be choosing his fight with Anthony Smith, just because we got to see, you know, the devastating leg kicks, the elbows, and it's his stance as well. Like, he keeps himself in a really good, strict Muay Thai stance the whole fight. Really impressed me, and I think it was probably his best finish in his career so far. I mean, look at it, it's gotten him a title shot at the end of the day. Even though it's a kind of undeserving one, you still have to respect the skill and his road to the title, and I respect Khalil Rountree a lot, and he is one of my personal favourite fighters in the light heavyweight division. That's why he's going on my Pokemon team. There's not too much I can say about that Anthony Smith fight. So let's keep moving through my list of fighters. The next one I have chosen is Paul Beardew Craig, and we're going to be talking about his BJJ ability. Now, I think the best example was against Jamal Hill. You know, that arm break was pretty fucking brutal, man. And I think it is just the damage of it that is making me choose that. You know, it just shows that if you let yourself get into the fucking guard of Paul Craig, he will punish you. Going to the ground with him at all is just not a good idea for anyone, even if you do have good grappling ability. And he's shown that throughout his career. I think if that Caio Borralho fight would have gone to the ground and Paul Craig would have been able to get himself in the right position, he would have submitted him. I think he has the ability to submit anyone in the middleweight division and anyone in the light heavyweight division if it got into the ground. But the thing is, his stand-up is just that bad. He can never get it there. But let's stop talking about that. Let's talk about the fight I've chosen. It is the Jamal Hill fight. I just think that arm break was just so fucking brutal to watch, and it really showed us how dangerous Paul Craig can really be. So I'm choosing his fight with Jamal Hill for the example of his BJJ ability. Let's keep moving through my choices, because the next fighter we are talking about is... Now, with Miss Kayla Harrison, we have to choose her fight with Holly Holm as the best example of her judo, because it's the only fight she's had in the UFC so far. But it was super dominant either way. If you watched UFC 300, you would have been probably pissed off that you had to see a women's fight on such a massive card. But I guarantee by the end of it, you were rooting for Kayla Harrison, just like I was, and just like I have been. She's pretty much the only women's fighter that I actually like, bro, and that I actually root for in their fights. The rest of them, I don't really give a fuck because I don't watch it. But I will watch if Kayla Harrison's fighting, man. I'm a huge fan. I think she's got a super dominant style. I think she's like Ronda Rousey, just way fucking better. And I think that as she continues in the UFC, we will see that. But now that we've been back through my team and spoke about what's good about mine, I want you all to do something as well. I want you to comment down below what your Pokemon team would be, so that in part 2 of this video, I can match up my team against your team. So anyone who's watching the video and you want to be in the part 2 of this video, leave a little comment of who you would have in your Pokemon UFC team, and you will be in the next video. It doesn't matter how many comments there are. I will make a fucking 35-minute long video talking about this shit. I don't care. You will be seen. And I think I'm going to wrap the video up here. But I would just like to thank you all for watching. I've really been trying to up the quality on the videos recently, as you could probably tell with this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. And you know what I'm going to say. You don't have to like. You don't have to subscribe. Do what the fuck you want, man. But have a good day, night, evening, whatever the fuck you're doing. And I'll see you all later. Peace.